No, I'm not going back there.
Dork, let's go. You're not safe here.
One dance, then I'll come. Promise. Know how many are out there. Unplug them from Bastion. But then what?
Sounds like just another day that ends in Y when you put it that way.
Precisely.
Jubilee? Roberto? Roberto?
My mom handed me over to the Prime Sentinels, Jubilee. They collared me. My own family. What's left here?
Me?
To this computer?
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Perfect.
I pushed it. Yeah, I'm trying to get back to Zoom because, lately Google Meets is not, I haven't used Zoom in like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So, because I also had Zoom was screwing with me, but looks like good fortune is coming back, maybe. I think
All right. Good
maybe
fortune. We like that.
might be coming back. I'm sure I don't want to jinx it, but it looks like it's perfect. By the way, I know thing is I use my computer to send you the stuff. Thing is, 2 weeks ago I got a new MacBook. So it's the
Let's
MacBook
go.
Neo. It's the one that came out last month in March.
Oh my God. Congrats. It's amazing. I have a new one, but it's already like about a year old or something, and it's already amazing, so I can only imagine this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to take more notes on this computer. I'm using my gaming laptop to, speak to you.
Yeah.
So, but that works too. But yeah, I'm using this one to like mostly this now, my MacBook. I'm using it for work and just taking more notes.
Amazing.
So it
Well,
works.
congrats. That's great step.
Yeah, sure thing. And actually, while you were getting ready, I was actually watching. If you remember this old cartoon, Hot Wheels Battle Force 5, I was actually watching season 2, Fuse. I was like, why did they end that show on a cliffhanger? Like, they could have at least done the movie and did something extra. I don't know.
It happens, man. I mean, shows have always to end on a cliffhanger unless they really know it's going to be the final end, and that's just part of the business.
I understand, but it is what it is. But overall, besides this, are you having a good night so far?
Yes, it's a great night. I'm excited to chat with you. I'm back home. It's been a long day, busy day. Still more to go. I still have things to rehearse, to get to, but it's been a good week, and yeah, good
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, my mom was out of town today. She was in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh yeah, you said
So
that. Yeah,
yeah,
you
she
got some
had to.
word.
Yes, when she leaves, I have to run her business while she's gone.
Okay,
And so, but it's a good thing though.
nice.
Uh,
Well, I'm glad she can count on you.
gotta be there for your parents.
You got to. You got to. You got to. Yes.
Okay. Well, if the small talk is over, I guess we can get this thing underway.
Let's do it.
So, greetings. My name is Phil. I'm host of the Conversation Podcast, and I have a big guest one here today. You may know him as Sunspot in X-Men 97 reboot on Disney Plus. Gui Agustini. Is here with me tonight. Glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Phil. It's a pleasure.
Mhm. So I mean, I've been watching a lot of Marvel stuff, I've been watching some of the old cartoons and even the old X-Men 97 back in the day. The 90s were amazing as well. So there's that
Yes.
too.
Yes. I'm a
My
90s baby,
most
so
my most favorite 90s show was Batman the Animated Series.
yeah, a lot of people love that. I mean, I remember vaguely, probably it's how I got to know Batman, but yeah, I don't know, maybe it was the movie. I do remember the 90s movie, the Tim Burton movie, and
Oh,
specifically, but I'm sure the cartoon, yeah, I just have more memories of other cartoons specifically, so including X-Men.
yeah, that works too. That works too. Yeah, it's nice that I get to go back and watch it. Listen, that Batman animated series intro has not gotten old. It's still
Yes.
legendary.
Yes, it is. It is. And the new
So,
reboot is amazing with the Newton brothers. That version is really cool. And obviously, there are many other styles that people kept, remixing and using, and it's pretty awesome.
Okay, sweet. Well, shoot, I need to make sure I give it a watch then, so I don't miss out on anything.
Yes, yes.
So, before we get started, let's start with a little bit of an icebreaker. Now, I've asked this to a few people before I brought you on. What's one place that you haven't traveled to yet, but you really want to?
Ooh, that's easy on my bucket list. One of my dreams is to go to Australia. So I really hope I get to go there and visit. I have family members, I have good friends. It would be amazing to be part of a Comic Con in Australia and get to meet the country and go in the water and surf and all the good stuff.
Yeah, on my bucket list, I'm still trying to get to Japan. Thing is,
Oh, there you go.
my mom and my dad went to Japan in 2008 when I was 8 years old.
Uh-huh.
So, I was born in 2000, but
Okay.
I couldn't go because it was only for adults only. She had a conference up there. So that sucked. But now it's like I'm at the age where it's like, oh, finally I can start planning for these things. I'm trying to go
Yeah,
there.
start plan.
I'm trying to go
Correct.
there for my birthday.
That's amazing. Keep saving your money, keep planning, and make it happen.
I
Much
know.
better than going as an 8-year-old, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. Thing is, I've been managing my money too. I've been paying off a lot of stuff, trying to, I've been spending a lot more money on needs than wants these days.
Yeah.
So
Good,
I
good.
think
That's smart.
in the future episodes, this will probably be the last time you see this gaming chair because I just ordered a new one.
Oh, congrats. We're
Cause thing
elevating. Nice,
is,
Phil.
my armrest is coming apart. This is a piece of it.
Okay, okay.
So I had it for 6 years. I was like, yeah, it's probably time.
Hey, you're upgrading. I like it.
So I don't want to, but if I'm going to make sure I'm comfortable in this thing, I had to spend a few extra dollars. So again, needs versus wants.
Yes, I'm a big believer in that.
Exactly. Well, now that the ice is broken, I think we can get into the main event. So I divide this up into sections, and it's 20 questions.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start or with the usual,
Okay.
the origin story. So
Yes.
number one is growing up in Brazil, what first sparked your passion for acting and storytelling?
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting because I had no sparks for acting and storytelling and an artistic life in Brazil. I was a tennis player. I wanted to become a professional tennis player, and that's what I dedicated most of my teenage years in Brazil. And then I traveled, to a lot of places around the world, and I ended up in Venezuela after I graduated high school. And I met my coach, and I lived there for 2 years preparing to come to the United States with a tennis scholarship. And it was a few months prior to my final days in that country training that I stumbled upon acting through a very failed Subway commercial audition, and that's where the spark began. So it wasn't really in Brazil, it was in Venezuela, of all countries, but it's a country really dear to me. I have a second family, almost like a second dad, who's my tennis coach, and yeah, and that's where my training actually began.
Okay. Yeah, cause I did hear, cause and like you just told me, cause Jay told me that you had family in Brazil and you just came back like a week ago now. So
Well, no, I was in my parents are not Brazilian, but I was born and raised in Brazil, so
okay.
my mom still lives in Brazil, but I got back end of January, so but I go every year for the holidays because my mom's there and I'm always there with her. But we travel, mostly to she's from Argentina, so mostly for New Year's we go to Argentina.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, you gotta have those sweet things to do on the holidays. And I like
Yes.
how, because I've seen like, hey, these days now, and I've been paying attention to like feeds. No, there's been a lot of you guys coming in from different countries coming to the States. to
Yeah,
do voice work when short TV shows and movies. Because, the world's evolving these days. There's a lot of like,
absolutely.
diversity, equity, inclusion stuff going on, especially
Yeah,
in TV shows. And, we need more of that because more people, like, how can I say this? There's a lot of countries who don't have that same opportunity that we have in the States.
100%.
And it's like we have to figure out how we're gonna like go to a different country and try to pursue our careers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's been the battle for many of us or all of us immigrants, but like you said, it's still so much so much more to be done, but definitely I feel like it's the industry and the country, even though the political situation we live under these days, we I still feel like yeah, there's been a lot of progress.
Yeah, I listen, I remain optimistic in these dark
Yep,
times.
we
That's
have
all I
to.
can do. I can just keep speaking up about it. But here's the thing, and I heard this from Pedro Pascal when they did an interview, his parents, were immigrants as well, like we tell these stories, these movies and TV shows. Listen, you guys acting in these movies and TV shows, this is your way of fighting back.
Absolutely.
And I like that. Like all the stories we seen, Fantastic Four First Steps. You got Sinners, everything. Like Sinners won the awards, won a few awards.
Yeah,
That's what we like. We like having these stories to tell us what's about, like, because if you pay very close attention, they also have some real life experiences as well.
100%.
And so it took me a long time to realize and understand that, in high school, I was just mostly just paying attention to entertainment. I didn't. But I'm, listen, and this is coming from a 25-year-old. I'm getting more aware and wiser to the situation and asking these kind of questions.
Yeah, you got it. By practice, that's the only way.
Exactly. So I just hope that I can continue to just, keep my head on straight and keep asking these kind of questions and pay attention to what's going on. That's all I can do. But it's gonna work out.
Yep, it's working out. You're doing it.
Exactly. But yeah, as countries, but Argentina, all them places, sometimes you have to come to us where the media industry is starting to blow up. So
Yep.
sorry if I rambled a lot. I just like
Yeah,
preaching.
that's okay.
Um, Number two, how did your cultural background shape the way you approach characters today?
Well, I mean, it's who I am, my very diverse in itself cultural background. Like I said, parents from different countries. I traveled a lot through South America. Tennis gave me incredible opportunities in life to get to know other cultures. I was very fortunate, very lucky to have the parents I had, my mom and dad, who raised me incredibly well, and the family that I had, and so it shaped who I am. And so obviously when I came to the US, it was a big shock, and I had to also learn to adapt. And I think the biggest thing of it all. I mean, yeah, I think just by nature, I'm somebody who absorbs a lot, like language, dialects, and culture. I like to be a sponge, like us actors. We often love to like observe and absorb. And so the American culture, I think, it was little by little getting absorbed by me. But I also made a very conscious choice to dive myself very deeply, and especially and particularly with my accent, to neutralize it as much as I could. So I trained very, very hard so I could have a little bit more of a diverse or a bigger range of opportunities, and I think it served me really well. But I'm very proud of my cultural background, and again, I think it's who I am, and now more than ever, as I've been maturing more and really finding my voice as an artist. I'm a filmmaker as well. I love to tell stories through the lens, and so I'm focusing a lot on Latin stories and my Latin background, and the mixture of now being actually a citizen of the United States. So I'm an American citizen, just like I'm a Brazilian citizen. So yeah, I think it's very important, and it's become more important to me as I've grown in my career and my artistic endeavors.
Interesting stuff. And yes, and I like everything you said. Sometimes when you move to a new place, when you start something new, you got to learn how to adapt. We find ourselves in this different area, and it's like, how do we navigate it?
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to take for me to be successful in this new era that I'm not so familiar with? Like, do I ask the right questions? Do I need to do research? It's a lot of steps involved, and it may take days, weeks, months, maybe even
Months,
years.
years, yeah, it takes time. It does take time.
And we're not all perfect human beings. It's not going to happen overnight. Trust me, I would try to do something overnight, but it wouldn't be perfect.
Good. I'm
So,
glad you have that. I mean, for all your listeners here, I hope that everybody agrees with that. I think most people do, but yeah, it's a good reminder because some of us, myself included, have wanted to have things perfect or have the syndrome of perfection, and so yeah, that's a very good reminder.
yeah, and there's and I always say, it's better to have quality over quantity of what you're doing. Like, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is perfect for people to witness. Like, this is a beautiful tapestry that's come together for people to experience. And your experience is in different countries, Gui,
Oh,
really is
say
starting to
I should have said it early. Sorry, Phil. It's Guy.
sorry.
Guy. That's okay.
Gui.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
I gotcha. Gee, your different experiences, Gee, in different countries and bringing your knowledge. Like, we want people from different countries to bring their own knowledge and help teach us what they learned outside of the US.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I was very lucky in the show to have had that opportunity, as a Brazilian, born and raised, voicing a Brazilian character to have had the trust to voice my opinion, in some words and expressions and things like that. And I was very lucky that, you know, the the showrunners and the creatives and Marvel really wanted that authenticity. And so that was a true joy.
Yeah, and these days, sometimes we have to rely on different, cultures and what we're doing because some of the stuff that you guys are doing now, we can't do that by ourselves. We have to ask people from different areas across the globe to come and help us. Hey, we're trying to make this film. Can you bring your expertise to us so we can do this together?
Exactly. That's the
You know,
beauty of collaboration. Absolutely.
and they used to do this back in the day, but the world is changing. So us as United States citizens, we have to learn how to adapt to different ways that weren't always like that back in the day because there's so much stuff. Technology's evolving.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to listen to what other or cultures have to say,
I
especially if
agree.
you're going to keep doing more pop culture things like this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely, especially in terms of representation, 100%.
Exactly. Um, Next, what was the moment where you realized this is something I can actually pursue professionally?
I mean, acting in general, right? Because voice acting is kind of new to me, and I consider myself an actor, and so in terms of acting, I think like early on, when I was bit by the bug, the acting bug in Venezuela, when I started studying in two different schools, and I had a mentor who really planted a seed, a very important seed in my soul, I think, in my brain for sure, that I could do this. He had so much belief in me, and I was just so young and inexperienced. So when I got to the US, I was very lucky that the school I had gotten a scholarship for had a theater program, and then I joined the theater program. I was cast like 2 months in my first semester as the lead of a very classical American play called Picnic by William Inges, which was a movie in the 50s with William Holden. And and you know that so from that moment on, I was like, well, maybe I can really pursue this because I was uncertain when I arrived. My major was business. I minored in theater in order to be able to take the acting class. And then I performed, I forget how many weekends, probably two or three that on that play. And then I was nominated for this regional theater award that I didn't even know existed. And then I think I remember very vividly. I think she was like part of a of an organization, like judges that would go around that area where I was at to watch plays to be able, I think, to nominate people or something like that. And I remember this woman coming to me and just like my first performance ever on stage and just saying that like she just like believed I could, do this professionally or something like that. So obviously that was so reassuring and it was so important to me. um and then after a year I moved to Miami, Florida, and that's where my actual professional training truly began and my professional career. And from that moment on, I just decided I didn't, this is what I wanted to pursue, because I fell in love with it and I knew tennis was just going to be part of helping my dad pay less money. But I figured out a way that he would save money and I didn't have to play tennis. So that's when it really shifted and I focused 100% on acting.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I've seen all the origin stories of all you guys out there because I know everyone, who does this thing. You guys are mostly in LA and Texas, and I think you've heard of the term called imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, I heard that a lot.
Mhm.
Some people believe in it, some people don't. But yes, yes, that's a term that I've heard.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people these days who just feel like, do I really belong in this space?
Yes, that for sure. That for sure. The belief, the feeling that you belong, the feeling that you're enough. I think that's really big, big and a lot. I mean, I think all of us artists really, or most of us, I'd say.
One of the VAs who does like anime, she actually wrote a story about imposter syndrome for new upcoming voice actors. And
Oh, interesting.
it's lately that's pretty much whatever career you're doing. That's pretty much for anything that you do. Like I'll give you one example by me. I graduated almost 3 years ago now from college, Flagler College, St. Augustine, Florida. I My first major was sports management. And I just kind of realized that's not what I really do because pretty much, it was like sports mansion, like esports teams on Xbox and PlayStation, etc. But that's not really what I wanted to do. So I had to find something else. So pretty much I like doing videos and doing and during my senior year, I did three documentaries. One was talking about mental health awareness, one was about, something about Black History Month, and then one was about the history of my city. I'm based in Savannah, Georgia. So we
Okay.
talked about the history of that because there's a lot of history going on
Yeah,
there back in the 60s. I don't know if you ever
definitely.
been to Savannah before.
Yeah, I've not a lot, but I've passed through. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. So I just kind of figured, well, let's see. I like doing doing because I also did like video game walkthroughs as well. And I deleted my gaming channel because I was like, I'm not getting enough traction, so I had to start all over. Because like this goes back to what I said before, quality versus quantity.
Yes.
And so I was like, well, I do like talking to people about certain things and want to get their specific perspective. So I decided to I graduated with a bachelor's in digital media production and journalism. And, after a while, I wasn't taking it seriously until I started paying attention to what everybody else is doing. And I was like, you can get to interact with very special people. You can talk about their life experiences, what they had to go to. And now it's like, well, shoot. Like right now, I'm up to almost to like 100 episodes of this thing. And I didn't think I was going to make it that far.
I love that. I love that, Phil. And congrats. I mean, that's what it is, when you find your find your calling or that what we are. passionate about. I think that's the most beautiful thing. And then, yeah, you have to put massive action and have, I like to say, life motto that I am stealing. I didn't create it, but it goes high hope, low expectations. So I think that's what it is. You put in the work
Yeah,
and
exactly. Do the work. The rest will come later.
yeah,
Just do the
exactly.
work. And another thing too, I like, it goes back to your situation, like you wanted to do something, but first you want to do tennis. Like once you start doing something, the more you do it, you'll get used to it in no time.
Yeah,
And for
one
both
thing
of
will lead to
us,
the other.
yeah, and for both of us, we've gotten used to what we like doing.
Yeah,
And it's like I say, just keep doing the work. It's better to keep just go ahead and just put your foot in the door and see how it goes instead of just not doing it at all. I'd rather do something than not do nothing.
100%, 100%.
So yeah, I think the main thing is let's just all keep doing what makes us happy.
Right there.
hmm we're almost at the end of section one. Um, moving between Brazil, New York, and LA. Now, how did each place shape you as both an artist and a person?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I absorbed a lot of those places and the experiences. They were all so important at their time. And before, like I mentioned briefly, before New York and LA, I was in Miami. I mean, that really changed my life in many ways. Like I said, I started my professional career. The core of my training came from there, or the first big core. And previously, I was in South Carolina for a year, which was my first cultural shock, my first American experience. And like I said, I did my very first play. I did a couple other plays as well. So they were all very important through my journey. But then, New York was incredibly tough, personally, but and professionally, because I didn't, especially before the pandemic, I had a lot of incredible training. That's why I moved to New York, was to attend a conservatory, an acting conservatory, and then I also trained with Anthony Mindel, who I train to this day here in LA, with his school, which is amazing, and it shaped my growth as an actor, as a human being, and I'm super grateful. So, but New York gave me so many experiences, and then after the pandemic, it brought when I decided to move to LA, I got on a show, an HBO show called The Time Traveler's Wife, and that was a really incredible experience. It changed my life in many ways. Um, and then then it was supposed to have 3 seasons. It got canceled, only had 1 season. And then I finally made my move to LA, where I wanted to be from the moment I was in my first year in Miami, when I decided I really wanted to pursue acting. Especially at the time, Los Angeles was the mecca for film and TV, which was what I wanted to do, and still is my main focus. Though again, New York gave me so much more so much more appreciation for theater. I trained on the stage. I saw so many incredible plays. I saw so many great actors on the stage, and it's something I love so much. But my goal was always, and my dream was to be in LA. So now I'm living that dream, and a lot of incredible things happened once I actually moved, including X-Men. Maybe if I had never moved to LA, maybe I was not part of this. So, the world is so wild, the universe, I always believe it conspires in our favor. But we have to make decisions that we don't know what the outcome is going to be, right? Not having that expectation, but believing that if it's in our heart, then we have to follow it, and we have to follow it fully, um, faster than we sometimes want to, I believe. But look, things work out, and I'm really happy it worked out for me this way.
Well, hey, you gotta start somewhere. And sometimes you have to gain all the culture and experience from each city in the US. New York, Atlanta, I'm close to Atlanta. I'm like 4 hours away from Atlanta.
Yeah,
And you also got,
Atlanta's. It's
You
great.
know,
Yeah, so many. I mean, especially how the business moved, and so many people that I knew from New York moved to Atlanta. Yeah, it's been a great hub. Still is. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta follow your heart in the end. Like you said, you gotta do the work and follow your heart. I mean, that I don't know. Everything else, I think, will come into place.
yeah, hard work pays off. And going back to what I was saying, when I started something, I mean, like, look, I'm not looking for recognition when I'm doing this thing. I'm doing it because I really just want to talk to people and
Yeah.
understand their life experiences. And I think that's what people just, I think that's what some people just don't understand the concept, and I have to explain it to them. And that's fine. I'll explain to you, but that's it. I can't, there's no saying you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I never heard of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something my granddad taught me. So I'm using everything he learned, he told me for here, man.
Very
But yeah,
nice.
that's the goal. We go to different places and understand and gain from experiences. Like you be surprised how many places we haven't been to yet, and it's just waiting to be discovered.
Oh,
So
well, yes.
again, it's a big universe out there.
Big universe. Yes. Yes.
So there's a lot that we want to do. So let's just keep moving. All right, next up is now we're out of that section. We're in section two, which is breaking into the industry. Now, this
Mm.
next question is about the time traveler's wife, like you mentioned. Now, landing a serious regular role on the time traveler's wife is huge. Now, what did that moment mean to you?
Oh, wow. Yeah. It just meant so much. And for those who are listening and or watching, it was a very unique experience, and a different kind of series regular, because for those who watch the show or want to watch the show, you're not going to really see me, because I was Theo James, who was the lead of the show, acting double. Um, and people confuse it with stand-in or body double. They are different, and in particular for this project, because not all of I don't even know how, like, Sinners, for instance, was done, because maybe they had only a stand-in. I don't know if they did it the same way that the Time Traveler's Wife did this with me, which was, um, I was treated as a series regular, for all that encompasses, because I was in the scenes every time his character was seen. The two of them were seen together, right? Because he was a time traveler. So in this version, differently from the movie, he would talk to himself, and so in all those scenes, I would play the character with one age while Theo did the other, and then the next day we would swap. And then in editing, they obviously replaced me and had only Theo. Um, so I don't know if all movies with double characters are done that way, because you don't have to. But obviously, I guess it helps us, or the actor, the main actor, to get the flow of the scene and the emotions and all of that. But yeah, it was an incredible experience to work with legendary people like our director, um, David Nutter. The show was written by Stephen Moffat. So it was such, incredible people. Rose Leslie as the lead female. And they were incredible. And it was the biggest experience on set, 6 months working from the very beginning, 6 months of shooting, but I worked on the show for 8 months. You had 2 months of preparation, something I never experienced before. And I guess for all of us actors, since the boom of streaming, that changed how television is seen. We all want to be series regular, for the longevity of playing that one character and exploring things, but also for the financial rewards that you get, and then to get to do other things that you might be passionate about as well. So yeah, no, it was huge. It really changed things for me.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm,
And I got to experience New York in a very different way, very different way.
There you go. Yeah, it's nice because I know some of these people who shoot things, they have to travel. Like I've seen so many of Avengers movies and other TV shows where, they actually had to shoot in the city that the show is going to be in. Otherwise, you can't just do everything like on set, like in a studio. We have to like go beyond that. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
what I like
certain.
to
So
do
yeah.
because here's the other thing that I also like. I'll give you like when I seen some of the Avengers movies and TV shows, I like okay, let me give you kind of give you an example. Let's take the Avengers TV show, Avengers Assemble TV show, but that was on Disney XD. And then it
Okay.
was also the Avengers movies. I like how they took the Avengers across the globe. I like how they did that because mostly all the Marvel characters are based in New York, but they don't get a chance to like go to other countries. And I think that's
Yeah,
something
well,
that has to be, I think that's something that, you
yeah,
know,
but that costs a lot of money, Phil. So only the productions that can afford it can do it. Or actually, in fact, these days people are going abroad because it's less expensive than actually shooting in the U.S. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not every production who can do that or can afford it. So.
it's true, and I totally get that, and just the people who can afford, because people like the Russos and Kevin Feige, they could afford all these traveling expenses. It's crazy, and yes, you got to experience New York doing the time travel slide, because it is based in New York, right?
No, no,
That's
it actually no. The story's actually in Chicago,
it's in
which is
Chicago. Okay,
yeah, but
so
but most of it was shot in studio inside, so it doesn't matter. And then we actually used New York for some
reference
scenes that Chicago can look very similar to New York in many ways, and then we were in Chicago for 2 weeks to get the important Chicago landscape and stuff like that, right? So yeah,
again, tips and tricks.
yeah,
Gotta
yeah.
use
That's
tips
film.
and tricks.
That's filmmaking. It's film magic. It's like
Yeah. Oh, sorry, that you were saying something.
no, no. I was just saying that's the
I got you.
magic of
Film magic. Yes,
filmmaking.
definitely film magic. And yeah, you said it only aired for like what, 2 to 3 seasons? That was it.
No, it only had one season. It was supposed to be three, but it got
It got
canceled. Season one.
canceled.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I might take a look at it. Not that you tell me about. I might go take a look.
All
See what
right,
it's all
take a
about
look.
later.
Take a look.
So
Take a look.
interesting stuff. Um, Next up, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced early on trying to break into the industry?
Um, well, booking a job is always the biggest challenge, but
Yes, it is.
for me specifically, like I said, having to learn, I knew English, but obviously my fluency was very different at the time when I moved to the US. Um, but I think the dialect, the accent was the biggest challenge. It still is. I continuously keep working on it to be able to sound as American as I can. And then on the same time, I had to learn how to speak English with a Latin accent or a Brazilian accent because it's just it becomes a new skill. And I didn't use once I focused so much in neutralizing my accent, I couldn't actually do a Latin accent. It was crazy. It's still not something that it takes me some time, but I'm much better at that. But I think that was definitely the number one. And together with that, I learned acting. Well, I started learning in Spanish when I lived in Venezuela, but that only lasted for what, 3 4 months, and then I moved to the US and everything was English. So I'm learning a new passion, a new profession with a third language. So it was very difficult. It took a lot of time, a lot of work. um that was always my first goal, to be able to be as comfortable as I can with the language, to express my emotions and just learn acting. Because again, I didn't grow up with acting. I grew up watching movies and TV shows. The TV shows not so much, but like cartoons and then movies. I loved movies. My dad was a fanatic for movies, and So, and then, once you start, um, finding the people that believe in you, and I was very lucky early on, very early on to find agents, to find managers that who believed in me, especially also very good for me starting in Miami because I did speak fluently Spanish. However, I also had to change my Spanish accent because I used to speak with a very thick Venezuelan accent, and here in America we use a neutral accent, which is closer to Mexican accent. So I had to change that as well in order to be able to work in television and any media really. So yeah, it was a lot of hard work, but again, having the people who believed in me and gave me a chance, and then that way one thing led to something else. So it's been always like steps, and each step has its particular difficulties and challenges, So I can point it out one. I mean, I gave you, I think the biggest ones, but there are also many others that are like intertwined.
Yeah. And and I will say this, listen, I understand your pain. I'm on a 501 day streak on Duolingo, and I still can't learn a full English with Japanese.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, Japanese, it's yeah, I must be a really tough language.
Yeah, so I'm trying. So yeah, I understand because when you guys have new people coming from different countries, y'all got to learn to communicate in English. And I've seen a lot of, Hispanics, Brazilians, Japanese, Korean people speak in different English. Like Guy, I work at a job, it's called I work at my mom's job called Kumon, and it's been like a thing. We had like Koreans coming to our center to learn English and learn Kumon before they have to go back to their country, before they have to go to school. So they try their best to speak in English first. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
and I think, we just gotta, there was a little one too. I think her name is Izu. And she's very cute. Don't be fooled by their cuteness. They will do funny things. But we are starting to understand their culture and learn from it too, so we can figure out how we can communicate to these people. Because at some point we're gonna have to go to their country and try to experience their culture as well.
Yeah, for those who are interested. So I'm glad you are. I think traveling abroad is one of the m- most beautiful, important things because you get exposed to different cultures and different people, and it just expands our understanding of humanity.
Oh yes, of course. And in your case, and I guess when you first came, it probably took you I think it took you like weeks to get the Brazilian English stuff down for these actors. Listen, I was in my mind, I was like, it may look easy to me when he does it, but it's not really that easy. It really isn't. It takes time.
It does take time, that's for sure.
And so I don't want to be like, we don't want you to rush, and then it's not perfect. Because then, it's gonna be in my fault. Be like, oh, he did this. No, I want y'all to finish making the cake in the kitchen, okay?
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree.
So I'm a patient man.
Good, good.
Next one is about being multilingual.
Yeah.
So how did being multilingual, Portuguese, Spanish, English, open doors or create challenges for you?
I mean, it's been, I think, one of my greatest allies, greatest fortunes, and greatest resources that I have, that I was lucky to have. Again, bilingual, really, with Spanish. Um, I did learn English. I studied English in school a lot. A lot of us Brazilians do that, but just I wasn't really fluent until I moved here, and then put in a lot of work um, to get better at it. But yeah, no, it's been definitely my biggest strength, especially with the Spanish. Because not having being native or feeling native when I speak Spanish has opened so many doors, and it's been so crucial for all that I've done and who I am, and where I am at right now. So yeah, definitely huge.
Yeah, because in this line of work, you gotta learn as for you've got to learn as many different languages as you can. And and probably for a few good reasons, like these shows we got coming out now, we need people who speak different languages, etc. And because you guys in LA, y'all won't stop spitting out shows. So
No, we
it's
wish we had more. There's not enough shows in LA these days. But anyway, we're getting better.
I think that's the main key. Like, we need certain people who can speak multiple languages. I wish I could. I just don't think I can afford it, but I'd be willing to learn from people if I can find the time to. You want to have that singular, like, you want to find like common ground with your languages as well as the shows that you're doing. Mostly the director's looking for people who like bring some sort of it all focus on the director's vision and what sort of spectacle they're trying to bring to it.
Yeah, but I think it's like, I don't know anybody who consciously, if you did the consciously chose to learn a language because it's going to get them more work. No, I think it's because those of us who were born very lucky to born with different cultures and learn the language early on, um, we're just lucky that way, because yeah, I mean, some actors I'm sure have learned later on and they wanted and they had opportunities that opportunities got open to them because of it, but I think the majority is just their ethnicity, their upbringing, their family, and they can honor that, and I think that's what's beautiful.
Exactly. And listen, Geek, and I've also learned this, not everybody's gonna get it. It's nice but it's okay that we know someone in our friends group who does. So yeah, if
100%.
you don't know any languages, don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, no, of course
Find
not.
find someone else who can help. If they can help you, then do that. Don't sit there and just trying to
No
navigate
shame in
this.
knowing only one language. Again, it always goes back to if you want it, if you really want it, that's what you pursue and you go after and you take the time and you put in the time. But if not, it's also no big deal.
Exactly. No stress. Well, it's time for the main event. Section 3, becoming Sunspot.
Let's do it. Let's do
So,
it.
now, what was your reaction when you found out you'd be bringing Sunspot to life in X-Men 97?
Yeah, I mean, it was so joyful. It was so surprising because I had no clue I was auditioning for X-Men 97. So when I got the news from my agent via an email, congratulating me that I was going to be a superhero. I had no clue what he was talking about because I didn't even remember I auditioned for a superhero. And then it said X-Men 97, which I did not know what it was about. I had no clue that they were already since 2020 in the process of making the continuation of the original series. I had no clue. So I was like, oh, I know X-Men. I'm a big fan of X-Men. So like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I learned the details obviously, and I got so stoked. I mean, I was so happy. It was difficult because I couldn't, you have to sign an NDA, you can't share with anybody. I was in New York, not living. I was already living in yeah, I was already living in LA, and I was staying with a friend because after Time Traveler's Wife, I worked a lot in New York, doing motion capture and other projects in 2022. And so I was staying with a friend who was a big X-Men fan and knew Sunspot way better than I did. In fact, I always say I'm ashamed to say, but it's the truth that I did not know Sunspot. I didn't grow up with the comics, and so I had no idea who he was. So I got to learn after I I booked a role, and I researched everything I could on the internet. I read everything, watched every video I could find. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big joy.
I could tell. I could tell. I was because X-Men has been a big thing for years. We've seen the Wolverine, X-Men, X-Men 97,
Decades,
all the
yeah.
even the movies as well, And now we got the X-Men teaming up with the Avengers and Fantastic Four and the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. Man,
That's gonna be huge. We're all waiting. We're all waiting.
well, they started the countdown, but here's the thing, I'm upset. I'm upset because they said they're not going to do it in IMAX in theaters.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm like,
I'm
why y'all?
sorry.
I'm like, why y'all taking it out of IMAX? Like, come on now. Y'all
I
didn't do that for
agree.
the previous Avengers movies.
Yeah, I didn't know that information, but it makes sense. Yeah. That should be an IMAX kind of movie, so who knows?
I'll just suck up and watch without IMAX then. But
Pretend is IMAX.
I know. But going back to you, I know every time I come across people who does like iconic and people characters we've seen, they get so stoked and super hype. And it's like, well, hey, you should be. This is a big achievement. You got to do something spectacular that you never thought you could before. And you
Yes.
said you didn't know Sunspot before then, but you decided this goes back to what I was saying. Most of you guys don't have time to research the character or do anything or before y'all get to the studio and start recording. Y'all have to adapt and learn on the fly, which is understandable. Sometimes, deadlines. There's always deadlines going on. So it's like we need to get this done now. Let's go ahead and just adapt. But yeah, landing Sunspot is an achievement for you. I will say that.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you. But let me just say, like, I didn't mean we don't. I think most of us do have time. I mean, rare occasions, I guess, but most of us do have time. I mean, we have time. I researched a lot. I knew as much as I could before stepping in that booth in my first recording session. What I didn't know is when I auditioned for it. So that's different. Now, when you get the sides and you audition, I mean, if the show is a new show, nobody knows the characters, right? That's what happened with the original actors from X-Men, the animated series, because nobody knew who those characters were. So you get a description, you get the sides, you do your best, you put your version forward, and if you get lucky and you get cast, then the process begins, with the team. But once you get cast, you're gonna get as much information as it is available. If it's a new show, it's a little bit more difficult because it's the inception, the beginning, but you work together with your, production team, your directors, your writers. But again, in this case, being a character that comes from the comics, obviously I didn't have that much time before my first session, to read as many comics as I could. But again, I was very lucky to have the internet, and so I researched as much as I could. And then in the end, the most important thing is what is written on the page. So we actors, we always go by what our blueprint, what the source is, which is the script. I mean, I'm a big believer, along a lot of actors who believe our script and our size are king and queen. Um, that's what we base our, everything, or where everything comes from. Obviously. There's so much more other internal work, and some people work differently than others in terms of creating more background or whatever. In this case, the background is written, but also imagine, I mean, yeah, Sunspot was created in 1982, and there's been so many versions and iterations, and so it's like, and I actually didn't even know some of the things that were adapted and changed from the comics because it's not, as we all know, those are adaptations. They're not exactly the same from the comics. So I learned on the as I went, which happens as well.
Of course. Yeah. So yeah, so, all the stuff you've seen, in comics and everything, because not only is the technology side evolving, but the comics are evolving too.
Definitely.
I was in Barnes and Noble in my hometown the other day, and I've seen so many books. And I was like, they didn't show these like this back in the day.
Yeah,
It's different.
it's wild. Yeah, I mean, now that I'm part of this world, with the Comic Cons that I became part of, and learning about the comic book world. I mean, it's wild because there are shops, opening up, and which is great, because obviously a lot of them also didn't survive during the pandemic, which, was a big hit for a lot of those businesses. But yeah, a lot of new stories, a lot of new IPs coming through comics, and I think it's amazing.
And we have so many new artists, people who are joining us as well. Like, not just because here's the thing. I've not only just interviewed you guys as voice actors and actresses, I've also interviewed like different types of artists, comic book artists as well. I've interviewed a few. I might bring a few back for another panel, but they've done a lot of new work that really caught my attention. And
Yeah,
listen, they told me that every day they're spending their days drawing and doing art. That's all they do. Like they don't take any breaks in
that's
between.
but see,
The only
that's
time they
what an
take a
artist.
break. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's what an artist does. I mean, they create art. I mean, that's what it is.
Mhm. And the only time they told me the only time they ever take a break is when they go to sleep at night and they wake up in the morning. They don't stop. Of course, they got to eat, of course. But they did tell me that they do eat, but they do
I
not
love
stop
their
throughout the
work
day
ethic.
because they're constantly working. No, they got the mentality because it's their passion for making
Yeah,
all these amazing artworks that they're doing, especially for comics. So pretty amazing stuff to see.
that's why they're the best in the world. It's like, and that's one thing they can do literally just like writers by themselves. They don't need anybody else. Obviously, they wanted to put out to the world and work with other people, but there's the skill. That's one thing, you could just do it on your own.
Exactly. And yep, again, they just doing what they love doing.
Love what they do and put in the work.
Mhm. Next up about Sunspot. Now, I think you probably already answered this question, but let me go ahead and ask it. How did you prepare to step into a character that already has such a strong fan base?
Yeah, you know, it does. It obviously has a lot of history, but Sunspot was first shown in a television series called X-Men Evolution, where he barely really spoke. Um, from what I could research and learn, I didn't watch. It was huge in South America. Actually, it came a few years after X-Men the animated series, but I never watched it. I had no clue it existed. And then it took a few years for him to make an appearance in the movie X-Men Days of Future Past. And he was portrayed by a Mexican actor who unfortunately already passed. Um, and then in 2020, there was a New Mutants movie where Sunspot comes from, and he then was portrayed by a Brazilian actor, Henry Zaga. And so I watched all of those. I mean, Days of Future Past, it was such um, a small participation, just see the powers, which was cool to see. And then in the New Mutants, it was very different in terms of the approach of that movie. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't. But yeah, so there was not a lot. Those are the only three really in a visual form. So it wasn't, there was not. I mean, I wanted to know what they were, and I actually watched them. But this was something almost complete. It was basically completely different in a cartoon. It was a very different thing. It was going to have a much bigger arc. So I was very lucky in that way. I just wanted to represent him from the comic and the history as best as I could. And I had an incredible team who knew so much more than I, obviously. And I was, guided very well. So yeah, I mean, my main thing was just I just wanted to do the best job possible, through my voice, bringing um, all I can in terms of my sensibility and vulnerability and strengths and weaknesses, all of it to those words on that page, So very lucky again, but it was not. I didn't base myself off any of it, I just felt a really big responsibility to represent my country and that character. And I think one thing that actually played in my favor was that because I had never been to a Comic Con before. Again, I didn't know Sunspot. I mean, I knew about comic books, but it was just not part of my world. I was not as intimidated as I would have been if I actually knew the fandom, because that only happened once it premiered, and I was blown away and so surprised by the wildness of it all, the incredible fandom that exists, you know? So I think it worked in my favor.
Wow. Well, again, you had to use the things in your toolbox. Use the tools in your toolbox.
You
And
gotta
that's how
use the
you get,
best you can.
and
What
that's how
you
you,
have, you know?
exactly. And that's how you get from point A to point B when you do something so, when you have to voice a person who's really like been through a lot in the years, like people like Superman, Batman, the roster, I could just
Hey,
go on.
those
The
are a
roster
little bit
can
different. I mean, those are, those really have been out there. Like I said, it's quite a little bit less than that, but for sure. I mean, everybody's doing the best they can.
exactly. Just do the best you can. And listen, it's not gonna be perfect. Just do the best you can at first. Like
Yes.
I would rather you just take your time and do the best you can instead of just be like, oh, it's perfection. If it comes out great, because listen, you've seen a lot of critics out there. Like, can you believe how much they were bad mouthing the Super Mario Galaxy movie 2 weeks ago? And
No,
in
I
the
had no
end,
clue.
and then in the end, it reached over $700 million.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Actually, I, I
Yes.
I I saw the posters here. I wanted to watch it, and I haven't seen it yet. But
Oh, I can't say nothing then. Ooh, my
no, that's
bad.
okay. You can. I don't care. I don't care.
Gotcha.
But that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, but yeah, they kept listen, critics are gonna be critics. They always got stuff to say. Like if I was like, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
That's their job.
So, but yeah, but here's the thing: the only reason why I reached that much money because Mario fans are gonna be Mario fans now.
Yeah.
And so they gotta support the movie. Like, shoot, I got plans to see it again in 2 weeks. Listen, I'll tell you a funny story. I was actually at Hot Topic today, and they had the Super Mario Galaxy shirts.
Nice.
So I told them what was going on with me, some updates, and I told them to hold it for 24 hours. They told me now if I don't come tomorrow, Thursday, to pick them up, to put them back on the shelf. And I
Oh,
was like,
damn. So you better go back tomorrow.
they know me very well, and I was like,
Okay.
hey, don't kick a man when he's down. I'm still waiting for my paycheck tomorrow. Don't kick a man when he's down. So, but yes, that's listen. Now, was the Super Mario Galaxy perfect to the critics? Maybe not, but did people enjoy the movie the best way it came out?
That's the most important. That's actually the only really thing that matters, I think.
Exactly. So you doing Sunspot? If it's the best work, I'll sit down, just pop some popcorn, watch my show. I don't care.
Yeah, I've been very lucky that people responded very positively. So,
Yeah. And they did the same thing with Batman Hush 2019. They kept trashing my character. I was like, y'all, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Just stop. Yeah,
yeah.
it's this is why I don't like the critics. So if I enjoyed it, then that's all that matters. If you enjoy voicing Sunspot, that's all that matters. So
Well, yes,
sorry,
no,
I'm Vince.
I definitely enjoyed it, but I think I think I mean yes, yes. I mean, as an artist, exactly. We have to be proud of what we do, because sometimes it's not going to be well received, not only by critics but by the audience. If we are proud of it, if we like what we did, then how it gets received is completely out of our control. But of course, when we do something that we love and we put so much time and energy and passion, we hope is well received, because that's in the end, we're also doing it for them. We're doing it for you guys to enjoy and whatever, to learn or to have experiences and stuff like that. So I think that's also important. And when we reach those two things, when we are satisfied and proud of what we did, and then we are also well received, oh man, yeah, that's the
Exactly.
lottery.
Exactly. And sorry about earlier, I was venting. So I was just
That's
trying to
okay.
vent.
That's
So
okay.
good stuff. Now, next one is going to be a two-part question, okay? Now, what does it mean to you to represent a Brazilian superhero with the Marvel Comics universe? And part two is, how did you balance honoring the original version of Sunspot while making the role your own?
Yeah, so I mean, the first part is, like I said, it's been such an honor, it's been such a privilege to have been chosen to voice Sunspot, which then makes me the representative of my country and Latin America in this humongous IP. Such a big responsibility, and I don't take it for granted. I'm so fortunate and so grateful. Um, so I love that, because though I have, a big diversity in my heritage, of Latin countries. I am Brazilian. I was born there, and I love my country. I'm very patriotic in that way, and so what a joy to represent, and voice a Brazilian character in the biggest project I've been a part of. Now, the second part, like I said, it's I forget exactly how you worded it, but I don't because he wasn't in the original series. I didn't have It's basically a new creation. He was not part of the original X-Men. Like I said, all the other ones he had smaller appearances, and they were completely different stories. So I felt I was lucky to uh, start from scratch. I didn't have to. Some of my castmates have to continue have to voice match actors who voiced the original characters, and that I mean they're phenomenal. I could not do that, so I was very lucky that I'm really, you know, I was gifted the opportunity to start from scratch, basically.
Exactly. And this goes back to what I was saying before. We need to have more diverse characters in these shows. And this goes back to all the stuff that's going on in our world today. Like, we've seen so much backlash from people voicing characters and doing characters who are not the same skin tone or something.
Well,
And
I've done that as well. I did a lot when it started out. I got a lot of it because I'm not an Afro Brazilian, because my skin color is whiter than, Sunspot in the comics,
Mhm.
though my dad, who is Peruvian, is much darker skinned, but my mom is lighter skinned. So I got those genes I got my mom's genes in terms of my skin color, so
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I get it, I honestly understand. And also all the backlash that audiences have given Marvel in the representation of Roberto Sunspot in the movies because they were all lighter skin, like myself, and so that I understand, and if he comes back, though people ask me all the time, would you love to, do him in live, portray him in live action, and of course, my answer is yes.
Mhm.
But I'm not of the age, I don't think, and also I would love to see him, if he does get to be part of the live action movies. Um, someone that might be, darker skinned, that represents more of what the comics have been.
Yeah, and this goes for everything, because when they did, and there's more examples. Same thing with your experiences. There's been people like attacking, Halle Bailey when she was Ariel in The Little Mermaid 2023, and then there was that situation with One Piece with Vivi being an black African American, which makes sense because she's in the desert. And there's this and this I could keep going on. And I had a discussion with a cosplayer last weekend before I talked to you. This was last before I went to another comics indie expo. It's a small expo in my hometown where this was happening right during the week when they dropped the Super Mario Galaxy movie. People were just criticizing, saying like Daisy ain't black, she's white, and they were calling her the N-word and whatnot. It's like
Yeah.
y'all, it's not real. Like, y'all need to cut that out. And listen, there's always going to be some bad apples out there who just
Yeah,
they're just doing it for
100%.
attention.
Of course, of course. It is what it is, the world we live in. So, but yeah, it's part of it, and we have to learn how to navigate and deal with it.
and listen, even if the madness ends, it's not going to go away. I've been telling people this, just because you think what's happening in our world is we're gonna get back to normal, it's not gonna go away.
Yeah, I mean, like the Addams family said, define normal.
It's exactly, man. So the best thing we can do is to keep telling these amazing stories for everybody to enjoy. No matter, listen, I be telling people, peace and love over hatred.
1000%.
Mhm. You know,
Now,
and, and if you
Phil,
don't,
let me
oh, go
just
ahead.
tell you, yeah, if I think we have time for one more because I'm gonna have to get going.
I got you. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. But before we get to this last question, are you enjoying our discussion so far?
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad to get to know you and
Hmm?
get to chat with you.
That's all right. Yeah, I know I was eating up too much of my time venting here,
No,
but
that's okay. That's supposed to be a conversation. I'm glad you were over prepared. Remember, see, that's part of it. Be prepared. It's better to have
exactly.
20 questions and get through five than having three questions and then needing to have 10 more. So kudos to
Gotcha.
you. Kudos to you.
I like to be prepared. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up then. Looking ahead, this is going to be a two-part question to wrap it up, okay?
Hand it over.
Now, what's a dream role or project that you haven't tackled yet, but would love to? And number two, when people watch your work, whether it's Sunspot or beyond, what do you hope they take away from it?
Ooh, those are two good questions. Great questions. I love those. So thank
Yes.
you for making them so so profound, to wrap up our convo here. So the first part, I've been asked this a few times, and I always say, which it still is, I was recently thinking about it because I'm such a big believer in manifestation, the law of attraction. People who know me well, really, really big believer, and I've been focusing on it so deeply, especially for the last 12, 15 months. Um, and so I was like, wow, I always say that my dream role is to play a knight. I've always been fascinated by horses and just like movies like Robin Hood, the '90s Robin Hood, who's not really a knight, but it's just like it's something with swords and stuff like that. And then like DiCaprio's The Iron Mask, The Men of the Iron Mask, and so stuff like that. And I'm like, well, maybe. And then Zorro, obviously, which was Antonio Banderas with horse and sword, and he was Latin and stuff, and or Spanish. But I'm like, even if it's a Latin knight of some sort, different story, because obviously I don't belong in the world of Game of Thrones or The Last Kingdom, and worlds that I love. But it's just not my prototype and the accent and those things, right? So and then I said, now that I'm part of the animation world, maybe I can voice a knight in animation. I'd be super open to that. But I'm like, I still want to be able to play, something related with, swords and fighting and horses and, a knight in live action. So I'm going to be more specific about that and manifesting that. But so that is one, but also at the same time, something that's a little closer to me that is, everything that I start to work on, it becomes a dream or something that I become passionate about. And so there's a story, there's a particular feature film I've been working on. There's an incredible role that I hope I get to play. That would be a dream come true. It's not something I've desired for the longest or something like that, but it's such an incredible story. It's a genre that I love, which is a thriller, and it's something I feel very uh, very excited about to portray. I think I can do an incredible job. And would be something very different for me. So that would be the first part. And then in terms of how, so the question was how what I would expect or what would like for people Uh,
When people watch your work, whether it's Sunspot or beyond, what do you hope they take away from it?
what I hope they take away from it. Ah, such a tough question. I was never asked that, Phil. I appreciate you. It's making me think, which is great. I mean, I'm always thinking, but like some
I
things
come
are
with
new.
receipts, man.
So yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think something that's coming to me in terms of like I hope them to uh what's the word you used again? I'm sorry. Because
What was the? Oh yeah, the
I hope them
word
to because I'm thinking
they
about the
take
word they take away because
take
I'm thinking
away.
about the word feel because that's something that I'm more used to of like we do something we expect or hope that people feel a certain way,
Yeah.
especially when you're creating something. But takeaway is I don't for the stuff that I get to be a part of it, that I get to be a part of, I'm not the one creating, right? So there's certain things that I would always love for audiences to take away, but they would not always be possible depending on the role that I portray, because it's out of my control. But so in a general sense, I would love them to take away if they are artists, if there are actors, young actors, the inspiration that it is possible for them to do it as well, especially maybe people from similar backgrounds than me or whatever it is, just that that I get to inspire them, now different roles and different projects will cause different things, but as a purpose in life to me is to uplift people, is to uh be a catalyst of change. I believe in that so deeply. So if people watching my work and my body of work, if they can take that away, and the optimism, like we said in the beginning, I'm such an optimist. I'm such a positive human being. I believe in creating uh, things that or be part of things that can create positive change. In fact, I'm wearing this hat, which is a company I created with one of my best friends. It's called Impacto, and that's our logo. And one of our ethos and mottos is to create positive change, transformation. And so, yeah, I think I'd say that. And then together, in terms of what I would hope people feel is that they feel something. If that might work, um, uh, gives them joy or gives them the opportunity to feel grief or whatever it is. Because we're human beings, and I feel like art is here to help us get through this very interesting journey of life. And feeling is mostly all we have, right? And sometimes we are repressed and we don't know how to deal with them. And so art in so many different forms, the one that I'm most passionate about is you know, uh, movies and TV shows, and through my acting and now through my voice acting, is to get them the opportunity to feel something, and for some or many, it's been transformative. I've heard so many stories, mostly about the other characters that have been around much longer, especially from the animated series, but how it changed people's lives. It's incredible. It's really crazy. I am passionate about that, and now I'm part of something that literally has changed people's lives. Even life and death situations. So I'm deeply honored, and I hope I continue to be part of projects that have that impact. I think in the end is that I want to have a positive impact in people, and so yeah, maybe that's my takeaway. That's why my company is called Impacto. Because I'm about having positive impact in people. When I meet people, when I do my work, I mean, to me, that's my biggest purpose.
Exactly. And like I always say, just keep doing the work. You're doing fine. Don't worry about the rewards right now. Just keep doing the work, inspire people.
Love that. I
And
love that.
the rewards will come later, but right now you're doing something that's gonna make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.